Okie doke. This is the first online lecture for you guys. Actually started the blood one the other day, but now I'm going backwards in time. This lecture is on the senses, and in particular, the special senses. So what I'm going to try to do with these is keep them at about 20 minutes or so that you can take a break in between. And I'm going to go relatively quickly because you can always rewind and or pause the video, right? So there are two general categories for the senses. The general senses, which include touch, temperature, pain, pressure. And with these, the receptors are found across the body. So it's the general senses. The others, that's one, category one. Category two are the special senses. And these include taste, smell, vision, and hearing and equilibrium, balance and equilibrium. And with these, the receptors are highly specialized. And they're found in special organs. And they're all in the head. In the head. There are 5 types of receptors. And in general, what these are doing is sensing the environment. Sensitive to particular environmental changes, let's say. There are 5 types. Chemoreceptors, they respond to, let's just put this over here, respond to certain chemicals. Two, pain receptors. And these respond to tissue damage. 3, thermoreceptors respond to changes in temperature. mechanoreceptors. Mechanoreceptors. These respond to changes in pressure or movement. And then lastly, photoreceptors. And they respond to light. Speaking of which, I realized I didn't turn on my light yet. Okay, so a sensation is when a sensory receptor is stimulated and sends a signal to the brain. Is stimulated by light or pressure or chemicals or whatever is stimulating that receptor, and it sends a signal up to the brain. Where the signal is interpreted in what's known as a perception. And we're going to say this is the conscious awareness of the stimulus. Now, if your brain was constantly receiving signals from the environment, you'd be overwhelmed. Some senses can adapt so that you're not, like, you don't feel the clothes on your back all the time, right? Otherwise, your brain will just go berserk. This is called sensory adaptation. It's kind of like getting used to a particular stimulus. This is the decrease of the responsiveness by the nervous system to a prolonged or maintained stimulus. And I'm just going to get a new sheet of paper. This is a continuation of sensory adaptation. There are fast adapting senses. And these type of receptors typically respond to changes in the stimulus. So these are the receptors. Typically respond to changes in the stimulus. And then they quickly adapt to the new level of sensation. Level of the sensation. And like I gave an example a minute ago, the sense of touch. So you kind of forget that your clothes are touching your skin until you move, and the clothes rub against your skin, right? So that change in the stimulus. And then there are slow adapting senses. And these are typically, the receptors are kind of always on. Like the photoreceptors in your eye. So, for example, you can't shut off your vision, right? Photoreceptors. And so this can happen either in the peripheral nervous system by the receptor itself, or it can happen by the central nervous system where the brain kind of shuts off, like, okay, we've sensed that, let's just stop kind of interpreting and responding to that particular stimulus. So most people are probably familiar with this, maybe not by name. Olfactory fatigue. This is an adaptation to smell, and this happens within the CNS. We've all, like, if you go on a vacation for a week or something, you come back home and you walk in your door, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, my house smells different. You get used to the way that your house smells, and someone passes gas, you smell it for a minute, but then it kind of goes away, right? Same thing if you wear cologne or perfume, you smell it when you first start using it, but over time you get used to that smell. It's probably why people tend to like overdose themselves with perfume and not smell so great. So adaptively, this is good because you become aware of new smells around you. So like if there's a predator, you know, in theory you could smell it and you'd be kind of aware of it quickly. In that, new smells become aware to you quickly. So, for example, predators or enemies, I guess, maybe enemies. Something that's not familiar to you. The perception of temperature. Temperature sensation. It relies on two different types of fast adapting receptors. One is kind of specialized for cold, and one specialized for warm temperatures. And I can't remember what the temperature range is for each of these, but there's a certain range where the cold receptors are stimulated and the warm ones are stimulated. So it's basically the changes in temperature are what we feel. What we sense, basically. So that if you are, I mean, we all have done this, right? If it's a hot day outside and you go and jump into a pool, the water feels like ice water at first, right? But then you get used to it. And then same thing if it's in the winter and you go jump into a hot shower, it feels like your skin is going to burn off, but then you just get used to the warm water. if you turn the water, same thing, like, I don't know if you had someone like you're in a hot shower and someone throws a cold glass of water on you, it feels like ice at first. So it's that change in temperature. There is a term called referred pain, and this is the perception of pain in a part of the body other than the part being stimulated. So a lot of people are familiar with this. They say if you feel a pain radiating down your left arm, that can be an indication of a heart attack. So your heart doesn't hurt. You feel pain in your left shoulder and upper arm. Okay. I'm actually going to stop there and then pick up again. We'll talk about smell and then get into some of the other special senses moving forward. So there's the first video. See you in the next one.